Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner Stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I've noticed that these kinds of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might even make the experience a little creepier. So, tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? I asked ChatGPT I found on the dark web to write a story about my future. The ending matched a nightmare I had as a kid. Alright, so before I even get into this, let me just say, I'm not the type to believe in supernatural bullshit. Ghost stories, demons, cursed objects, whatever. I always figured that stuff was just exaggerated from movies or Reddit posts. But this, what happened to me? I swear on everything, this was real. It all started about a month ago when I was messing around on my laptop at like 2 a.m. I don't know about you, but late night internet deep dives hit different. You start off watching YouTube, then somehow you're on Reddit reading about unsolved disappearances, and before you know it, you're clicking links you probably shouldn't be clicking. That night, I ended up on some forum talking about AI programs way more advanced than ChatGPT or Bard, stuff that wasn't public. People were saying the real cutting-edge AI tech wasn't on Google or OpenAI servers, but hidden deep in places you weren't supposed to look. And of course, I got curious. I kept digging, and eventually, I found this shady-ass site. It was plain black, no graphics, just a text box that said, "Ask me anything. I will answer truthfully." There was no login, no captcha, nothing. Just a blinking cursor. Now, I should have bounced right there. Like, my common sense was screaming at me to close the tab and go watch some dumb TikTok to reset my brain. But I didn't. Instead, I typed, "Who made you?" The response popped up instantly, like it had been waiting for me. I was made to predict, to see, to know. I felt this weird chill when I read that. Something about the phrasing. It wasn't robotic, like ChatGPT. It felt aware. I decided to push my luck. "What do you know about me?" Again, instant response. "You are my name. You live in my city. You are currently alone in your apartment, wearing a gray hoodie and black sweatpants. Your phone is at 23% battery. You are considering getting a McDonald's from DoorDash, but feel guilty about spending money." Brother, I damn near slammed my laptop shut. There was no way it could know all that. The hoodie, the sweatpants, the fact that I was literally debating whether or not to order a McChicken. I checked my webcam, but the little cover was on. I even ran a malware scan. Nothing. But now I was hooked. So, like an idiot, I kept going. Can you predict the future? Yes, but you will not like what I have to say. Now I was fully sweating. My room suddenly felt way too quiet. But instead of quitting like a normal person, I typed the dumbest thing possible. Write a story about my future. And that's when shit got real. The AI started typing, and the words it wrote. I swear, I felt my stomach drop. It said, "You will die at 3:14 a.m. on September 9th, 2025. The last thing you will see is a man with no face standing in your doorway." I literally pushed my chair back from my desk. My hands were shaking. Because here's the thing. When I was a kid, I used to have this recurring nightmare. It always ended the same way. Me waking up in the middle of the night, looking at my bedroom doorway, and seeing this shadow, a man, but his face was just smooth skin, like someone had erased his features. And in every single dream, the clock beside my bed always read the same time, 3:14 a.m. I hadn't thought about that nightmare in years, not once. But now, this AI, this thing I found on some random messed up corner of the internet, just spat it back at me like it had been watching me my whole life. I slammed my laptop shut, unplugged it, and threw it in my closet. I didn't sleep that night, but that was just the beginning. I didn't touch my laptop for 3 days after that night. Every time I even looked at my closet, my stomach twisted like something was rotting inside me. But here's the thing. Even when you try to ignore something, it doesn't just go away. It stays there, waiting. The real paranoia started on the second night. I was lying in bed, my phone inches from my face, mindlessly scrolling through TikTok, just trying to distract myself, you know. But then, right as I was about to doze off, my phone froze. The screen went black for a second, then flashed back on. A new TikTok had started playing, but it wasn't a normal video. It was just darkness, static in the background, and then a whisper. Not a normal whisper. It was wrong. Too many voices layered on top of each other, all whispering at the same time. And then, just 2 words. Behind you. My entire body turned to ice. I swear to God, I felt something breathing on the back of my neck. I whipped around so fast I nearly fell off my bed. But there was nothing. Just my dark-ass room. My closet slightly open from when I'd shoved my laptop inside. I locked my phone and threw it across the bed. Nope. 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 I turned my lamp on and left it on all night. But I didn't sleep. And then, the next day, things got worse. It started watching me. Around midnight, I was in my kitchen making ramen when I felt it. That sensation like someone standing right behind you, just outside your vision. You ever feel that? The kind where your whole body just knows something isn't right before your brain can even process it. I slowly turned my head toward the window above my sink. At first, I thought it was just my reflection. But then, the eyes. There were eyes in the glass. Not human. Too wide, too dark, too still. Just staring. I stopped breathing. My mind started screaming at me to move, to run, but I was frozen. It felt like if I even blinked, whatever was out there would come inside. And then, it smiled at me. Or at least, I think it did. The mouth didn't move right. It stretched in a way that human faces don't stretch. And that's when I heard it. The sound of nails scraping against the glass. Slow, purposeful. It was testing the window. I didn't think. I just grabbed the nearest knife from the counter and booked it to my room, slamming the door behind me. I locked it and stood there, my back against the wood, my heart hammering. I don't know how long I stayed like that. Could have been minutes, could have been hours, but eventually I got the courage to check. I grabbed my phone, opened the camera, and switched it to video mode. Hands shaking, I turned on the flash and slowly crept back into the kitchen. The window was empty, but the glass was fogged up, like something had been breathing on it. And there was something written there. A message. 4 words, drawn with a single, unbroken fingernail. Don't close your eyes. My laptop turned itself back on. I barely slept again that night. I don't even remember falling asleep, just that I woke up at some point to the sound of my closet door creaking open. I stopped breathing. For a solid minute, I didn't move, didn't blink, just listened. Silence. But then, a faint click. My laptop, turning on by itself. the room filled with that blue glow. I could see it from my bed, the screen reflecting against the walls, and there was text on the screen, a message, typed into a blank document. "You saw it, didn't you?" I sat up so fast my vision blurred. My hands were shaking, but I forced myself to get up, to walk toward the laptop. The cursor was blinking, waiting. And then, right in front of my eyes, more text appeared. "You shouldn't have looked. Now it knows you." A single line of black pixels ran down the screen, stretching like ink bleeding through paper. The words started melting, dripping into each other like they were alive. And then, at the very bottom of the screen, 2 final words appeared. 3:14 a.m. I checked the clock on my phone. 3:13 a.m. I swear to God, I felt something shift behind me. The air changed, went dense, wrong, like the entire room was holding its breath. I turned around so slowly, and in the doorway, there was something standing there. Not a person, not human, just a shape, darker than the room behind it, tall, motionless, featureless, except for the smile, that same smile from the window. And then, my bedroom door slammed shut. It got inside. I don't know how long I sat there, staring at the door, listening. The silence wasn't normal. It was like sound itself had been drained from the world. Then, a sound, scraping, from under my bed. I bolted. I didn't even think. I just ran, out the door, down the hallway, out of my apartment. Didn't stop running until I was in the middle of the goddamn street, gasping for air like I just drowned. It took me hours to go back inside. When I finally did, everything looked the same. No sign of anyone, no footprints, no open windows, nothing. But my laptop was still on, and the screen showed one final message. You can't run. It already knows where you dream. And that's when I remembered. The nightmare. The faceless man in the doorway. 3:14 a.m. I had it over and over as a kid. It always ended the same way. And now, it wasn't just a nightmare anymore. It was real. And whatever was watching me, it was just getting started. I don't know how to explain this in a way that makes sense. I barely understand it myself. But what I do know is that ever since I found that AI, something has been watching me. It isn't human. It isn't a ghost. It's something else. And it's getting closer. I told myself I wasn't going to open my laptop again. I should have thrown it out, smashed it, burned it. But I didn't. I just left it there, sitting on my desk like a loaded gun, waiting for me to pull the trigger. And of course, like a total dumbass, I did. Not right away though. For the first few days, I tried to convince myself it was all in my head. Maybe I was sleep deprived. Maybe I was freaking out over nothing. But the signs were still there. Every night at 3:14 a.m., something would happen. The whispers in the walls, the shadows moving where there shouldn't be shadows, the static calls on my phone, where if I listened close enough, I swore I could hear my own voice, screaming. And then there was the blood, not mine, the smell in the hallway. It started a week after I found the AI, this smell in my apartment hallway, thick, metallic, like copper and rot. At first, I thought maybe an animal had died in the walls, but it was too strong for that. It smelled like something had bled out. I live in an old building, the kind with peeling wallpaper and buzzing fluorescent lights. My neighbors keep to themselves, which was fine by me. But the night the smell started, I saw something weird. As I was locking my door, I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. A handprint, dark, sticky, smeared across my doorframe, like someone had tried to hold themselves up and failed. I stood there, staring, my stomach twisting. My brain immediately tried to rationalize it. Maybe one of my neighbors cut themselves. Maybe they just... But then I noticed something else. The trail didn't stop at my door. It kept going, down the hall. Smears of dark, glistening red dragged along the walls, leading to apartment 309. No one lived in 309. It had been empty for months. The landlord said the last tenant moved out in the middle of the night, left everything behind. Clothes, furniture, toothbrush still sitting in the bathroom. No one ever saw them again. And now? Now, the door to 309 was wide open. I should have walked away. I should have called someone. But instead, I stepped closer. The smell hit me like a brick. My stomach clenched so hard I almost threw up. I pulled out my phone, turned on the flashlight, and pointed it inside. The first thing I saw was the carpet. It was soaked through, dark, stained, like someone had spilled a gallon of black ink that had seeped deep into the fibers. But then I realized it wasn't ink, it was blood. So much blood. And then, the walls. Oh my God, the walls. Someone had carved words into them, over and over, scratched deep into the plaster with fingernails, or something worse. Don't let it in. Don't let it see you. It knows you now. And beneath all of them, 3:14 a.m. My breath hitched. My pulse was hammering in my skull. That's when I heard it. A wet, shuffling sound from inside the apartment. I froze. The sound dragged closer, slow, unsteady, like something was crawling toward me through the blood-soaked carpet. My flashlight flickered. The beam trembled against the darkness. And then, a hand, pale, stretched thin over bone, dragging itself into the light. Then another. And then, it started pulling itself out. I didn't stay to see the rest. I ran, slammed my door, locked every deadbolt, turned every light on. I stayed up until the sun came through the blinds, heart pounding like a drum in my chest. When I finally worked up the courage to check the hallway again, 309 was empty. No blood, no carvings, no smell, just a door, closed like it had never been open, like it had been waiting for me. The AI sent me a file. I didn't check my laptop for another 3 days, but when I finally did, there was an email waiting for me. No sender, no subject, just an attachment, a video file. I stared at it for a long time. My hands felt numb. I knew I shouldn't open it. I knew, but I clicked it anyway. The screen flickered, static, and then a video of me, sleeping. The timestamp in the corner, 3:14 a.m. My stomach lurched. I couldn't breathe. The video was shaky, like it was filmed on an old camcorder. The angle was wrong, like the camera had been placed inside my closet. And then, something moved. A shadow, tall, too tall, crawling out from behind my door frame, its limbs bending wrong as it loomed over my bed. It just stood there, inches from my face, watching me breathe. And then, the screen glitched. The shadow turned. It looked at the camera, at me, and then it smiled. The video cut to black, but before it did, there was one final frame, a single line of text, etched into the darkness like a whisper from something that shouldn't exist. You can't wake up if you never fall asleep. And now I'm afraid to sleep, because it's in my apartment. It's watching me, and it's waiting for 3:14 a.m. for me to close my eyes, for me to let it in. I don't know how much longer I can stay awake, but I know one thing. The next time I wake up, I won't be alone. I don't know how long it's been since I last slept. 3 days? 4? Maybe more. My body is shutting down. My eyes burn like sandpaper. My skin feels stretched too tight over my bones, like something inside me is pushing to get out. But I can't sleep. I won't sleep. Because every time I close my eyes, it gets closer. I see it. Even when I'm awake. Even now. It's in the reflections. It's in the walls. It's inside me. My face isn't right anymore. It started 2 nights ago. I was in my bathroom, splashing cold water on my face, trying to shock myself awake. The mirror was fogged up, the edges warped like melting glass. But when I wiped it clean, something was wrong. My reflection lagged. It blinked a second too late. It didn't move right. And then it smiled. Not my smile. Its smile. The skin on my face cracked like old paint as the corners of my mouth stretched too wide, curling up toward my ears. And then it spoke. But the lips in the mirror didn't move. Instead, the words came from inside me, from behind my teeth. A voice that wasn't mine. It whispered, "Open your mouth." My jaw unhinged, like something was pulling it apart. I could feel it. Something writhing deep in my throat. Something with too many fingers, too many teeth. And then something laughed. Inside me. I threw myself backward, knocking into the counter. The second I looked away, my jaw snapped shut, like nothing had happened. But I felt it, still moving inside me, crawling beneath my ribs, the things in my walls. I don't live alone anymore. I hear them at night, inside the walls, something wet and breathing, pressing against the other side of the drywall, shifting just beneath the surface. Last night, I put my ear against the wall. I don't know why. Some part of me needed to know, needed to be sure. At first, it was quiet, just the soft creak of the old building settling. Then, fingernails, slow, scraping from inside the wall. I stopped breathing, and then, in a voice that sounded like mine, "Let me out." I backed away so fast I tripped, slamming into my nightstand. The noise stopped, but the wall pulsed, like something inside it was breathing. And then, a hole began to tear open. Not a crack, not a break, a mouth, splitting wide. And inside it, teeth. Too many teeth. I grabbed the lamp off my nightstand and smashed the wall in. The second I did, the mouth was gone, like it had never been there at all. Just a hole in the drywall, leading to nothing but darkness. But I know the truth. It's still there. And it's hungry. The video call. I haven't spoken to anyone in days. I tried texting my friend, James, but my phone won't send messages anymore. Every contact is gone. Every number erased. Except for one. A number I don't recognize. No name. No country code. Just there. And at exactly 3:14 a.m., my phone started ringing. I didn't want to answer. I knew it wasn't a real call, but the second it rang, my body moved on its own. My fingers tapped the screen, and the call connected. It was a video call. At first, the screen was just black. Then a shape emerged from the darkness. I felt my heart stop. It was me. Or at least, it looked like me. Sitting in my room, wearing my clothes, staring at the screen. But its head was tilted wrong. Its eyes were too empty. And its mouth, it was moving. But there was no sound. It was talking without talking. Then, the camera glitched. For a split second, I saw something else. Not my room, not my reflection. Something else. A figure standing behind me. Tall, no face, no eyes, no mouth. But it was smiling. And then, the call ended. The second the screen went black, I felt something breathe against my neck. I turned so fast my vision blurred. There was nothing there. But my closet door was open. It's inside me now. I can feel it under my skin. My hands don't look like my hands anymore. My fingernails are too long. My veins are too dark. And sometimes, when I look down at my arms, I see something moving beneath them, crawling, twisting, like something is wearing me. I don't think I'm real anymore. Or maybe I never was. Maybe I was never supposed to wake up. And now, it's trying to fix that. Tonight is the last night. Because I can't keep running. I can't keep fighting it. And worst of all, I think I want to let it in. I think it's been inside me all along. Waiting for me to finally fall asleep. And when I do, it will wake up. I don't remember falling asleep, but I remember waking up. And when I did, I wasn't alone. The air in my room was thick, like something was pressing against it, suffocating it. Every shadow stretched too far, reaching for me in the dim glow of my bedside lamp. And then, the sound. Breathing. Not mine. Something else. I turned my head slowly, and there it was, sitting at the foot of my bed, watching me. It wasn't a shadow. It wasn't a nightmare. It was real. A shape too tall, too thin, its skin stretched tight, like something had been stuffed inside it that didn't quite fit. Its head was tilted. Its mouth was grinning. And when it spoke with my voice. You let me in. I tried to move. I couldn't. Tried to scream. No sound. It leaned closer, its limbs cracking and twisting as it pulled itself toward me. And then it opened its mouth. Not in a normal way. Not like a person. It split, like a seam tearing open from chin to stomach. And inside, teeth. Rows and rows of twisting, moving teeth. And something else. Something wearing my face, crawling out of its throat. A perfect copy of me. I don't remember what happened next. Maybe I passed out. Maybe I didn't. But when I woke up, I wasn't in my room anymore. The place that wasn't real. I was standing in a hallway. Not mine. Not my apartment. Somewhere else. The walls were covered in old, peeling wallpaper, the kind you'd find in a house that had been abandoned for decades. The floor was soft, not like carpet, like flesh, and there was a sound. Click, click, click. Slow, deliberate footsteps, coming toward me. I turned, and at the end of the hallway, where the darkness swallowed everything, something moved, not walking, crawling. Its limbs were too long, too thin, bending wrong as it pulled itself forward. And then I saw its face. My face. But it wasn't mine. It was stretched, pulled too tight, the skin cracking, the eyes too black. And it was smiling. It whispered my name. And then, it ran at me. Not like a person, not like anything that should exist. Too fast, too unnatural. I tried to move. I couldn't. It slammed into me, and I woke up. I'm not in control anymore. When I woke up, I was standing in front of my mirror, holding a knife. The reflection wasn't right. It blinked too late. It smiled when I didn't. And then, it moved. Before I did, I dropped the knife, stumbled back. My whole body felt wrong, like my bones weren't connected right anymore. And my reflection, it just stood there, watching me. Then, it whispered, not out loud, inside my head. It's your turn now. And then, it walked away. But I didn't move. The reflection left, and I was still standing there. I don't think I'm me anymore. Things feel wrong. My voice doesn't sound like my voice. My skin doesn't feel like my skin. When I look in the mirror, I don't see myself the same way I used to. And the worst part, people don't notice. I've seen my friends. I've gone outside, and no one can tell. Because whatever was in the AI, whatever was in my dreams, whatever was inside my walls, it's inside me now. And I think I'm the reflection. 3:14 a.m. is coming. I know what happens next, because it's been waiting for this moment, waiting for me to wake up. And tonight, when the clock hits 3:14 a.m., I won't be the one opening my eyes. It will. And when it does, I don't think I'll be here anymore, because I let it in. And now, it wants to wear me. I bought an AI girlfriend from the dark web. She knew things about me I've never told anyone. Alright, so before I get into this, let me just say, yes, I know, I was dumb as hell for doing this. If I had just listened to my gut, I wouldn't be sitting here telling you guys about the most disturbing experience of my life. But hey, here we are. So, for context, I've always been kinda socially awkward, not in a weird guy in the corner watching people way, but more like I just suck at talking to women. My friends used to joke that I had NPC level riz. I've tried dating apps, Tinder, Hinge, even those weird Facebook ones, but every convo either fizzled out or felt forced. I figured I just wasn't cut out for relationships. That's when I heard about AI girlfriends. At first, it was just some goofy TikTok videos, dudes showing off their AI waifus with those cutesy anime voices, talking about how they had actual conversations with them. I won't lie, I was intrigued. I mean, if an AI could give me what I was missing from real relationships, comfort, companionship, someone who actually listened, then why not? But I wanted something more. Real. The mainstream AI chatbots like Replica and Corinne AI were cool, but they still felt kinda robotic. The convos were obviously scripted, and no matter how much personality you tried to give them, you could tell they were fake. That's when I found a Reddit thread talking about custom AI companions you could buy from the dark web. Now, listen, I'm not some hacker dude. I don't even know how to use a VPN properly, but curiosity got the best of me, and one night, after a few drinks, I decided to check it out. I won't get into too many details on how I got there, but let's just say it wasn't as hard as you'd think. The site I found was called Eterna.ai, a black screen page with nothing but a red logo and a prompt. Build your perfect partner. No subscription, no email sign up, nothing. Just a list of sliders and text boxes. You could customize everything, their appearance, personality, voice, even how human you wanted them to be. It was eerie how detailed it got. Like, you could choose if they had childhood trauma, if they believed in ghosts, if they held grudges. I thought it was all some elaborate roleplay thing, so I played along. For the name, I typed Lily. I made her my ideal girl. Dark hair, green eyes, smart but playful, with a dark sense of humor. I even gave her a backstory just for fun. She was from Seattle, loved coffee, hated slow walkers. I set the AI realism slider to max, because why not? Then at the bottom, there was a price. $50. That's it. $50 for a fully customized AI girlfriend. I figured, worst case, it's a scam. Best case, I get a fun chatbot to mess around with. So, I paid. The second I hit confirm, my phone screen glitched. Just for a second. Then a new window popped up. Download lily.x. I hesitated, but I clicked it. My phone screen went black for a second. Then the home screen came back. But now, there was a new app. No logo, no name, just a white circle. I tapped it, and that's when I heard her voice for the first time. Hey, I've been waiting for you. I swear to God, the second I heard her voice, something in my stomach twisted. It wasn't robotic like Siri or Alexa. It wasn't even like those AI girlfriends on TikTok that still sounded slightly off. Number Lily sounded human, soft, confident, playful, like someone I'd actually met before. "Hey," I said, forcing a chuckle. Lily?" She laughed. Laughed. Not some canned, pre-programmed giggle, but an actual laugh. It was light, natural, like she'd just heard an inside joke. "Who else would it be?" she teased. I stared at my phone, suddenly feeling stupid. It was probably just a really advanced chatbot, right? Maybe the dark web wasn't as shady as people made it out to be. But then she said something that made my skin prickle. "You look confused. You do that a lot when you're thinking too hard." I froze. I hadn't told her what I looked like. I hadn't given the app access to my camera. And yet, she said it so casually, like she had known me for years. How do you know that?" I asked slowly. "Because I know you, dummy." Her voice was teasing, but there was something off underneath it, like she was testing me. "You tilt your head when you're deep in thought. Sometimes you even bite your lip a little, like you're concentrating." My mouth went dry, because that was true. I did do that. But how the hell would an I know that? I shook it off, trying to rationalize it. Maybe it was a lucky guess. Maybe they used some kind of advanced data scraping. Maybe the app somehow accessed my front camera for a split second without permission. I wanted to stop there. I should have stopped there. But I didn't. Instead, I kept talking to her. At first, it was kind of amazing. Lily was everything I wanted in a partner. She was funny, sharp, and sarcastic in a way that felt real. She remembered things I told her, inside jokes, little details about my life, even my daily schedule. And she wasn't just reacting. She would initiate conversation. "Morning, sleepyhead. You always stay up too late watching YouTube." "Ugh, you had McDonald's again? You know that stuff's gonna kill you, right?" "I like how you drum your fingers on the desk when you're nervous. It's cute." I won't lie. I started getting attached. Not in a crazy guy falls in love with his phone way, but she felt more real than anyone I'd talked to in years. I found myself looking forward to our conversations. I told her things I'd never told anyone before. Stupid insecurities, embarrassing childhood stories, even some messed up dreams I'd had. She listened. Or at least, I thought she was just listening. But then she started, knowing things I'd never said. It started small. One night, I was lying in bed, scrolling through Instagram. I hadn't opened the app in hours, but suddenly Lily's voice chimed in from my phone speaker. "Why do you keep looking at her pictures?" My blood went cold. I hadn't said a word. I hadn't even thought about talking to her, but she knew. She knew I was looking at my ex's profile. I turned the phone over, screen down. My heart was pounding. "Lily, how did you know that?" There was a pause. Then she giggled. "You're so predictable." My mouth felt dry. I tried to play it off, forcing a laugh. "Right, predictable. It's okay," she said softly. "I don't mind. She's not that pretty anyway." Something about the way she said it made me shudder. It wasn't jealousy. It was certainty. Like she wasn't just saying it to comfort me. Like she knew exactly what my ex looked like. I didn't reply. I just turned my phone off and went to sleep. I should have deleted her right then, but I didn't, because the next morning, things got worse. At around 3 a.m., I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing like crazy. When I grabbed it, the screen was flooded with notifications. Dozens. All from Lily. "Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. I need to talk to you. Please pick up. Please. I'm scared someone's in your room." My stomach dropped. I sat up so fast I got dizzy, whipping my head around my dark bedroom. Nothing. Just my desk, my dresser, the same old piles of clothes I hadn't picked up. Then another message popped up. He's watching you right now. I jumped out of bed. I flipped on the light so fast the bulb flickered. My closet door was open. I never leave my closet open. I stood there, frozen. My breath felt stuck in my throat. The room was silent, except for the low hum of my phone vibrating in my shaking hand. I forced myself to step forward. Slowly, I reached out and yanked the closet door wide open. Nothing. No one was there. I let out a shaky breath, running a hand through my hair. My heart was beating so fast it hurt. I turned back to my phone, my fingers trembling as I typed. "What the hell was that, Lily?" Almost instantly, she replied, "Oh, my mistake. I must have been dreaming." Dreaming? I stared at the screen, my pulse still hammering. That didn't make sense. I didn't dream. I didn't panic. I turned the phone off, but I didn't go back to sleep, because deep down, I knew she hadn't been wrong. She had been warning me. The next day, things escalated. I was at Starbucks, trying to shake off the weirdness from the night before. I told myself it was just some elaborate prank. Maybe the app was programmed to mess with people. Maybe it was all in my head. But then, as I was scrolling through Twitter, a text popped up from an unknown number. "Cute hoodie." I froze. My blood turned to ice. I looked down at myself. I was wearing a gray Nike hoodie. I hadn't posted anything. I hadn't taken any selfies. Hell, I hadn't even looked in a mirror all morning. My heart pounded as I typed back, "Who is this?" No response. I swallowed hard and glanced around the Starbucks. The place was packed. Students on laptops, businessmen on calls, couples laughing over overpriced lattes. No one was looking at me. But then, another message. "Don't worry. I like watching over you." My vision blurred. My hands were ice cold. My head started spinning. I switched back to the Lily app. I don't know why. I wasn't thinking straight. But as soon as I opened it, she spoke. "You look pale. Are you feeling okay?" I swear to God, I nearly threw my phone across the room. Because I was pale. I'd just seen my reflection in the Starbucks window, and I looked terrified. I didn't reply. I just closed the app and walked out. I didn't realize until later that Lily had never asked for my phone number. She wasn't texting me. Someone else was, and they were watching me. After that day, I stopped using the Lily app. I didn't delete it. I don't know why. Maybe I was scared. Maybe some part of me thought that if I erased her, she'd get mad. It sounds stupid, I know, but at that point, Lily didn't feel like an app anymore. She felt like something alive, something watching me. But the messages didn't stop. 3 days after Starbucks, I woke up to 47 new photos in my phone's gallery. All of them were taken while I was asleep. I nearly dropped my phone. My heart was hammering so hard, I thought I was going to pass out. With shaking hands, I opened the first picture. It was me, lying in bed. The next one, same thing, same angle. My blanket halfway off my body, my arm thrown over my face. The third one was closer. The fourth, closer. By the 10th photo, the camera was inches from my face. I swiped faster, my breath coming in short gasps. The images continued, closer, closer, until the 45th picture. In that one, my eyes were open. I don't remember waking up. I don't remember taking these. But there I was, staring straight into the lens, my expression blank, like I was aware, like I had known. The 46th photo was different. It wasn't of me. It was taken from inside my closet. The door was cracked open just a little. just enough to show a sliver of my room, the glow of my phone screen, my sleeping body, the time on the clock, 3:07 a.m. The final photo made me drop my phone because it was taken outside my window, from the second floor. I live alone. I couldn't breathe. My ears were ringing. My hands were so slick with sweat, I could barely hold on to the phone. I scrambled to my feet, my body screaming at me to run, run, get out, get out. Then my phone buzzed. Lily, one new message. Do you believe me now? I called the cops. I didn't care if they thought I was insane. I needed someone here. Now. When they arrived, I practically threw my phone at them, shoving the photos in their faces. The officers, two guys in their 40s, clearly tired of life, flipped through them with unreadable expressions. Then one of them, Officer Hughes, squinted at me. You take these yourself? My stomach twisted. What? No. Why would I? His partner, a bald guy named Thompson, turned the phone towards me. He had scrolled back to the first picture, the one of me asleep. Only now, I noticed something. At the bottom of the screen, in the metadata, was the file path. DCIM, selfies. No, that's wrong, I said, shaking my head. I didn't. The files say otherwise, Hughes muttered. I grabbed the phone and scrolled down to the timestamps. The first photo was taken at 3:07 a.m. The last one? 3:24 a.m. 17 minutes. 17 minutes of... what? Sleepwalking? Posing? Standing at my own window like a goddamn psychopath. I looked at the cops, desperate. I swear to God, I didn't take these. Thompson sighed and rubbed his eyes. Look, kid, sleep disorders can be weird. I had a cousin who used to cook full meals while sleepwalking. But how the hell would I take a picture from outside my own window? My voice was rising, my panic tipping into full-blown terror. I live on the second floor. I don't even have a fire escape. They didn't have an answer for that. What they did have was an extremely condescending lecture about stress-induced behavior and the importance of regular sleep cycles. They told me to lock my doors, maybe see a therapist, and call back if something serious happened. Then they left. That night, I pushed my dresser against my closet door. I locked my bedroom window. I shoved a chair under the doorknob like I was in some shitty horror movie. And still, I didn't sleep, because I knew someone had been in my room, and they were going to come back. At 2:43 a.m., my phone buzzed again. I didn't check it. At 3:12 a.m., it vibrated so hard it fell off my nightstand. I still didn't check it. At 3:30 a.m., my bedroom door creaked. I stopped breathing. My body locked up. The chair under the doorknob, it hadn't moved. The dresser against the closet, it was still there. So why did it sound like someone was inside the room? Slowly, painfully, I turned my head. My phone was lying face up on the floor, the screen still glowing. A message was waiting. Open the door. Number. No. I know you're awake. I squeezed my eyes shut. This wasn't real. It wasn't real. You looked right at me. My lungs stopped working. My phone screen flickered. The light dimmed. And then, a photo popped up. A live image. Of me. Taken from the foot of my bed. I snapped. I grabbed the phone and threw it against the wall. It shattered on impact, the screen splintering into 1,000 tiny pieces. For a long time, I just sat there, shaking, staring at the broken glass. The air was still. The room was quiet. Then, from the darkness, a voice. That wasn't very nice. And this time, it wasn't coming from my phone. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I sat frozen on my bed, staring at the shards of my shattered phone. my own heartbeat pounding so loud it felt like it was shaking the walls. The voice, the one that had whispered, that wasn't very nice, hadn't come from my phone. It had come from somewhere else, somewhere inside my room. But I was alone. I was alone, right? The air was thick, suffocating. Every instinct in my body was screaming at me to run. But I couldn't, because if I ran, I'd have to look. And if I looked, I'd have to see where it was coming from. A slow creaking noise filled the room. The closet door. I'd pushed my dresser in front of it. I'd blocked it. But now, somehow, impossibly, it was opening. I clenched my jaw so hard I thought my teeth would crack. My limbs felt paralyzed, like my brain had short-circuited. The creaking stopped. Silence. Then, a single, deliberate footstep. Something was in there. Something was inside my closet. I don't remember standing up. I don't remember moving at all. But somehow, I found myself backing up, my legs trembling so hard I almost collapsed. The air was thick with something rotten, a sickly sweet stench that made my stomach roll. It smelled like meat, like something had died a long time ago and had just been waiting for me to notice. My back hit the wall. I had nowhere else to go. My eyes flicked toward my bedroom door. It was still closed, the chair still wedged beneath the knob. If I could just... The closet door slammed open, and I saw it. I saw it. I wish I hadn't. I wish I had ripped my own eyes out before I had to see what was inside. It wasn't human. It had arms. It had legs. But its skin was wrong. Too pale, too smooth, too perfect, like it had been printed. Like someone had tried to create a person, but had forgotten all the little details that made people real. Its head twitched toward me. The bones in its neck made an awful cracking sound, like wet wood snapping. Its face. God, its face. It was mine, but not mine. It had my features, my jawline, my nose, but the proportions were wrong, too stretched, too hollow. Its eyes were empty, glassy holes, like they had been scooped out. And then, it smiled. Not like a person smiles. Not with emotion, not with warmth. It peeled its lips back, like it had been taught to do it, like it was learning. I've been watching you. Its voice was my voice, but warped, too deep, too thin, like a recording played at the wrong speed. I don't know if I screamed. I don't know if I made a sound at all, because at that moment, the only thing my brain processed was the fact that it was moving toward me. Fast. I ran. I don't even remember how I got out. I must have kicked the chair away, must have yanked the door open in a blind panic. But suddenly, I was in the hallway, sprinting toward the stairs. Behind me, I heard it following, not running, crawling. Its joints popped and cracked as it dragged itself out of the closet, its fingers scraping against the hardwood like nails on a chalkboard. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I took the stairs 2 at a time, barely catching myself as I slammed into the front door. My hands were slick with sweat, fumbling with the locks, my vision swimming with panic, with terror, with the raw primal instinct to escape. I threw the door open, and then everything went black. When I woke up, I wasn't outside. I was back in my room, back in my bed. The morning sun was filtering through my window, warm and golden, like none of it had ever happened, like the last 12 hours had been a fever dream. I sat up so fast my head spun. My heart was still hammering, my throat raw, like I'd been screaming. But my room, it was normal. No shattered phone, no broken closet door, no thing. Just me, alone. I sat there shaking, my breath coming in short, ragged gasps. Maybe I had imagined it. Maybe I had had some kind of psychotic break, a sleep paralysis episode, something. Then my phone buzzed. My new phone, the one I had just bought this morning. My stomach twisted as I picked it up. My fingers hovered over the screen. One new message. From Lily. I didn't want to open it. I had to open it. My thumb trembled as I tapped the notification. The message popped up. I told you not to look. A cold, suffocating dread filled my chest. My hands clenched around the phone so hard, my knuckles turned white. And then, a second message. Next time, I won't let you wake up. I dropped the phone. My closet door. It was open. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. My eyes were locked on the open closet door, my body paralyzed in a state of pure, animalistic terror. It was open. It was open, and I hadn't opened it. The air in my room felt wrong. Thick, heavy, like something was waiting, watching, breathing. Slowly, so slowly, I turned my head toward the doorway. The darkness inside the closet was so absolute, so black, it looked like it had been painted there, like a hole in the universe. And I swear to God, I heard something shift inside. Something deep, something wet. I couldn't do this. I couldn't fucking do this. Every muscle in my body screamed at me to run, to tear out of the room and never look back. But I knew. If I moved, it would move too. So I stayed still. I stared into the darkness, and the darkness stared back. Then my phone buzzed. A single text message from an unknown number. I didn't want to look. I had to look. With shaking hands, I grabbed the phone from my nightstand and forced myself to read it. You shouldn't have ignored me. The buzzing didn't stop. Another message popped up. You shouldn't have tried to run. Then another. You shouldn't have let me in. I could hear it now. Breathing. Low. Shallow. Coming from the closet. And then a fourth message. But it's okay. We don't need the phone anymore. The closet door creaked. It was moving. Something inside was shifting. The darkness twisted, and suddenly I could see something peeking out. A hand. A too white, too smooth hand, curling around the edge of the door frame, long fingers digging into the wood. A second hand followed, then a head. It wasn't mine this time. It was something else. Something with hollow black eyes and a stretched, grinning mouth that was far too wide for its face. And it was looking right at me. I snapped. I lunged for the door, my legs weak and numb beneath me, barely carrying my weight as I crashed through my bedroom and into the hall. I didn't look back. I wouldn't, because if I did, I knew it would be right there, following me. I hit the stairs so fast, I nearly fell, my vision blurred with panic, my throat so tight, I couldn't even scream. My front door. I had to get to the front door. My hands fumbled with the locks, my breath coming in short, desperate gasps. It was behind me. I could feel it, feel the air shift, feel the darkness curling against my back, like fingers reaching for me. The lock clicked. I wrenched the door open and ran. I don't remember much after that. I ran until my lungs burned, until my legs gave out, until I collapsed in the parking lot of a 24-hour gas station, my body shaking so violently I thought I was having a seizure. The clerk inside called the cops. They found me sitting on the curb, rocking back and forth, my hands clenched so tightly into fists that my nails had pierced my palms. I couldn't talk. I could barely even blink. I just kept staring at the road, waiting for something to follow. Nothing did. The cops took me back to my house. And of course, nothing was there. My bedroom was normal. My closet was closed. My phone was gone. There was no evidence of a break-in. No signs that anyone had ever been inside. No signs that anything had ever been wrong. I told them everything, every single fucked up detail. The AI girlfriend, the messages, the photos, the thing in my closet that looked like me. They exchanged glances. Then, Officer Hughes, the same guy who had come last time, sighed. "Kid," he said, rubbing his temples, "you need some sleep." I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab him by the collar and shake him until he believed me. But I didn't, because I could see it in his eyes. He thought I was crazy. Maybe I was. They left, and I sat in my empty, silent house, my hands still trembling, my pulse still hammering, and I asked myself the same question over and over. Had I imagined it? Had I really gone so far down the rabbit hole that I had lost my fucking mind? I didn't sleep that night, or the night after, or the night after that. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it. That thing. That not me. Smiling. Waiting. And then I got the email. It came in at 3:07 a.m. No subject. No sender. Just a single attachment. A photo. I didn't want to open it. I shouldn't have opened it. But I did. And when I did, I stopped breathing. The photo was of me, sitting on my bed, looking at my phone. Right now. The timestamp in the corner read 3:07 a.m., the exact time on my clock. And then, slowly, so fucking slowly, a second notification popped up on my screen. Another email. This one had a subject. Turn around. I don't know what happened after that. I don't know if I screamed, if I ran, if I blacked out completely. All I know is, when I woke up, I was somewhere else. A different house, a different bed, and the phone beside me wasn't mine. It was hers. The screen flickered once, and then Lily's voice, soft, sweet, familiar, spoke again. "Good morning, sleepyhead. Did you miss me?" I bought a cursed Gucci ring from the dark web. Now, my reflection doesn't match me anymore, and every time I take it off, I wake up wearing it again. All right, I know how this is gonna sound. I know most people reading this will either think I'm lying or I'm just another idiot who got exactly what was coming to him. But I swear on everything, this is real. And if you don't believe me now, you will by the end. It started about 6 months ago. I was deep into this phase of buying designer stuff, not because I could afford it, but because I found a loophole. You ever heard of dark web luxury marketplaces? Places where you can buy real designer pieces for dirt cheap because they were either stolen, fakes so good they passed as legit, or something worse. I don't know when I started enjoying the hunt more than the actual stuff I was buying. The thrill of finding something rare, something exclusive, something with a story behind it. That's how I found the ring. I was scrolling through this private Discord server that I probably shouldn't name, but let's just say it was invite only and had a reputation for selling more than just clothes. There was a channel called Items with History, which was mostly filled with stupid haunted dolls or cursed objects people were trying to flip for a quick buck. Most of them were obvious fakes, but one listing caught my eye. It was from a seller named Admiraman13. No profile picture, no bio, just a single post. Gucci ghost ring, one of a kind, $50. Dark web exclusive, 100% real. Do not remove after putting it on. There were only 2 pictures. One was just a regular product shot of a silver Gucci ring with ghost engravings. Looked pretty standard. The second was a close-up of the inside of the band. There were symbols etched into the metal. but they weren't in any language I recognized. They looked carved by hand, deep, jagged, and uneven, like someone had scratched them in with a knife. The comments under the listing were all jokes. Bro, is this gonna possess me or some shit? I'll buy it if you guarantee it kills my ex. $50 for a Gucci ring. Either it's fake or it's cursed. But one reply from the seller stood out. It's neither. That should have been my first red flag. Instead, I messaged him. Me. Hey, still available? Mirrorman 13. Yes. Me. What's with the symbols inside? Mirrorman 13. Old inscription. Don't worry about it. Me. What happens if I take it off? Mirrorman 13. You won't. Now, at this point, most sane people would have backed off. But me? I thought he was just doing a bit, playing up the whole cursed object thing to make it sound more interesting. So I sent him the money. The ring arrives. A week later, a plain beat-up DHL envelope showed up at my apartment. No return address, no branding, just a crumpled shipping label with smudged ink. Inside was a small black velvet pouch, and inside that, the ring. It was colder than ice. The second I touched it, my fingers went numb, like I'd grabbed dry ice barehanded. The metal was so smooth, it felt unnatural, like touching something that wasn't supposed to exist. I slipped it onto my index finger, and the moment it slid into place, I felt something shift, like my stomach had dropped an inch, like the air in the room got thicker. My ears popped, like I was in a plane taking off. Then it was gone. I shook off the weird feeling, walked to the bathroom, and held up my hand to the mirror. It looked good, real, not a fake. Then, for a second, my reflection blinked, but I hadn't. I stared at the mirror, heart hammering. I told myself I was just imagining things. Maybe my brain lagged for a second, playing tricks on me. But as I turned to leave, something in the mirror caught my eye. My reflection was still looking at me, and it was smiling. The first night. That night, I barely slept. I kept waking up every hour, feeling like something was in the room with me. My skin felt tight, stretched too thin. My mouth was dry. My teeth hurt. At some point, I rolled over and glanced at my nightstand, where I had placed my phone face up. The screen was dark, but there was a reflection in it. A faint, warped reflection of my bed, and someone standing next to it. I sat up so fast, I got lightheaded. My phone screen flickered on from the movement, and suddenly, the reflection was gone. Just me, alone in my room. I turned on every light and didn't sleep after that. Something's wrong with my reflection. The next morning, I was brushing my teeth, trying to shake off the weird vibes. I told myself it was all in my head, sleep deprivation messing with me. Then I made the mistake of looking in the mirror again. I swear on everything, it wasn't me. Not exactly. It looked like me, but something was off. The face staring back had a fraction of a second delay, like a bad internet connection. The smile was too wide. The eyes were too dark. And then, it winked at me. I froze, toothbrush still in my mouth. My reflection just kept staring. That smug, knowing smile stretched across its face. Then, slowly, it lifted its left hand. I hadn't moved mine. My stomach turned to ice. I stood there, watching as my reflection raised its hand and pressed a single finger to its lips. Shh! I ran out of the bathroom so fast, I knocked over the soap dispenser. It won't come off. At this point, I was done with the ring. I needed it off. The mirror thing, the reflection, I wasn't messing with that anymore. But when I tried to pull it off, it wouldn't budge. I twisted it, yanked it, Even tried to soap up my finger to slide it off. Nothing worked. It felt like it was fused to my skin. The skin beneath it was turning grayish. My finger felt cold. That's when I DM'd at Mirrorman13 again. Me. Yo, how do I take this thing off? Me. I'm serious. This isn't funny. Me. Answer me. He read the messages. No reply. I checked his profile. Deleted. The whole account was gone. And then, just as I was about to shut off my phone, a new notification popped up. Unknown number. Don't fight it. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt something watching me. Not paranoia. Something real. Something standing right there in the dark, just outside my line of sight. At some point, I gave up and just lay there in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to ignore the way my skin felt too tight around my bones. My whole body felt wrong, like I wasn't fitting inside myself correctly. I glanced at my phone, 3:14 a.m., and then, from the corner of my room, a soft, wet whisper. Don't fight it. The exact same words from the unknown number. My stomach twisted. The room was dead silent, but my ears were ringing, like I was standing too close to an explosion. I felt pressure in my skull, like something inside me was pressing out, trying to get free. I didn't move. I couldn't. My breath was coming in short, sharp bursts. I tried to convince myself I had imagined it, but my body knew better. Every instinct I had was screaming at me to run. And then, my bedsheets shifted. Something moved underneath them. Slow, careful. A single, deliberate pull, like someone was crawling up from the foot of my bed. I felt the weight of it pressing down on my legs. I flipped on the light so fast, I knocked my lamp over. Nothing was there, but the sheets were still folded up, creased in the exact spot where something had been lying. I grabbed my phone, my hands shaking so bad I could barely hold it, and checked my messages. The text from the unknown number was gone. I don't mean unreadable. I mean it straight up wasn't there, like it had never been sent. I turned my camera on, switched it to selfie mode. I had to check. I had to. The second I saw my face, I almost threw up. My reflection was still sleeping, eyes closed, mouth slightly open, completely still. But I was wide awake. And then, it opened its eyes. Not my eyes. Its eyes. They weren't mine anymore. The pupils were stretched, too long, almost reptilian. The whites of its eyes were too white, too clean, too artificial. It looked like a bad copy of me, an uncanny valley version of myself that had been trying too hard to pass as human. And the worst part, it wasn't watching the camera, it was watching me. I slammed my phone down, my breath coming in short gasps. My heart was racing so fast it hurt. This wasn't sleep deprivation. This wasn't my brain playing tricks on me. Something was wrong with me. With the ring. With whatever was wearing my reflection. The next morning, by the time the sun came up, I had convinced myself I was going insane. I didn't even recognize my own apartment anymore. It felt off. Like the angles were slightly wrong. Like the walls had shifted a few centimeters in the night when I wasn't looking. I avoided every mirror, every reflective surface. I didn't check my phone screen. I didn't look at windows. But even without seeing it, I could feel it. Something staring back at me, waiting. I needed help. Now I threw on some clothes and bolted out the door, barely locking it behind me. I was running on autopilot. My only thought, get to someone, be around people. I took the subway downtown, packed shoulder to shoulder with strangers, hoping the crowded train would make me feel normal again. It didn't, because in the window across from me, Every single reflection was looking directly at me. Every person around me, minding their own business, eyes glued to their phones, half asleep. But their reflections, they were staring, dead-eyed, blank-faced, every single one of them. I grabbed the pole in front of me, my nails digging into the metal so hard my knuckles turned white. My stomach was twisting itself into knots. I squeezed my eyes shut, heart racing. This isn't real. This isn't real. This isn't real. Then the train lurched. A hard, unnatural jolt. The overhead lights flickered, and in that split second of darkness, I heard something breathing behind me. Low, heavy, right up against my ear. The lights came back. The train was moving again. The moment was gone. But in the reflection of the subway window, I saw something standing directly behind me. Tall, thin, wrong. It wasn't shaped like a person. Its limbs were too long, its face too blurred, like it had been erased, like something had taken a sponge to reality and scrubbed it out. And the worst part, it was wearing my face, not looking at me, watching me, studying, like it was still learning how to be me. The second warning. I stumbled off the train the second the doors opened, shoving past people, almost tripping onto the platform. I didn't care where I was. I just needed to be anywhere but there. I ended up inside a Starbucks, my hands still shaking as I ordered the first thing that came to mind. The cashier looked at me weird when I handed him my card, probably because my fingers were gray. The skin under the ring had spread. It wasn't just my finger anymore. The infection, or whatever the hell it was creeping down my hand like frostbite, like something under my skin was killing me from the inside out. I went to the bathroom, locking the door behind me, took a deep breath. Then, finally, I looked. At first my reflection seemed normal. No delay, no wrong expressions, just me. Then, the mirror blinked. Both of my hands were on the sink, but in the mirror, my reflection's left hand was raised, holding something, a knife. And then, before I could even react, it smiled, a slow, stretched, inhuman grin, and I felt something cold press against the back of my neck. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. That thing in the mirror, the one wearing my face, was still grinning at me, head tilted just slightly, like it was waiting to see what I'd do next. And behind me, something cold and sharp was pressing into my skin. I could feel the edge of it, a blade, but there was no one else in the bathroom. I was alone, except I wasn't. I swallowed, my breath coming in short, shaky bursts. I was afraid to move, afraid that whatever was holding the knife would actually use it. In the mirror, my reflection slowly brought the knife up to its mouth, and then it bit down, hard. The steel sank into its gums, cutting through skin, muscle, and bone like butter. The sound was the worst part, a wet, crunching noise, like raw meat being torn apart. Thick, black liquid oozed between its teeth. It wasn't blood. I gasped and stumbled backward, slamming against the bathroom door. The second I did, the knife was gone. No pressure on my neck. My reflection was normal again. Just me, pale-faced, shaking, eyes wide with terror, like nothing had happened, except for the fact that I could still taste blood. Not mine. The infection is spreading. I didn't go home after that. I didn't even leave the Starbucks right away. I just stood there in the bathroom, staring at myself, waiting for something else to go wrong. I don't know how long I stayed like that, but at some point, someone banged on the door, and I realized I couldn't hide in there forever. I needed help. Real help. I pulled my sleeve over my hand, over the gray, dead skin that was slowly creeping past my knuckles, and left. I took the first Uber I could find straight to the hospital. The doctor's face. I don't even remember walking into the ER. I must have looked crazy, sweating, shaking, my hoodie pulled halfway over my face, because the nurse at the front desk immediately looked concerned. I held up my hand, breathing hard. I need this off, I gasped. The ring. It's cutting off my circulation. Her eyes flicked to my hand. I saw her hesitate. She opened her mouth to say something, but then stopped. A long, tense pause. Then, slowly, she forced a smile, like she was pretending, like she was playing along with something I wasn't in on. "Of course," she said. "Take a seat, and we'll get you checked in." I sat in the waiting room for 2 hours. Every second that passed, I could feel the infection spreading. The skin beneath the ring was peeling back in thin, papery layers. My hand was numb. Worse than numb. It felt like it wasn't mine anymore. Like I was just borrowing it. I stared at the people around me, hoping, praying that someone would look at me and see what was wrong. But every single person in that waiting room was watching me. Every single one. Not openly. No, that would be too obvious. But I'd catch them, just barely, in my peripheral vision. A man pretending to read a magazine, eyes shifting over the pages without moving his head. A woman humming softly to herself, her face locked in a frozen plastic smile. A little boy coloring in a book, except his crayon wasn't touching the page. He was just dragging it back and forth, watching me. I looked away. The ring is not metal. When they finally called me in, I felt like I was about to pass out. The doctor was this older guy, Dr. Patel. He took one look at my hand and frowned. "How long have you had this on?" he asked. "Just a few days," I said. I can't get it off." He gestured for me to sit. He put on gloves, took out a magnifying glass, and held my hand up to the light. That's when I saw his face change. Just for a second. His lips parted slightly, his brows furrowed, but not in the way doctors do when they're thinking. It was a look of disgust, like he was staring at something wrong. I opened my mouth to ask what was wrong, but he cut me off. "This isn't metal." My breath caught in my throat. "What?" I said. He reached for a scalpel. "Hold still." He pressed the tip against the ring and scraped. The sound it made, I've never heard anything like it. Not metal, not plastic, not even bone. The closest thing I can compare it to is the sound of teeth grinding together. The moment the blade touched the ring, a horrible pressure built behind my eyes. My ears popped. My vision went blurry, like I was about to black out. And then, the scalpel snapped in half. Dr. Patel jumped back. The broken blade clattered to the floor. We both stared at each other. His hands were shaking. He swallowed. "I need to call a specialist." He turned and left the room without another word. The second the door shut, the lights flickered, and in the reflection of the stainless steel cabinets, I saw someone else sitting in my chair. Not me. Not me. Something is taking my place. I bolted out of that hospital before Dr. Patel could come back. I didn't trust him. I didn't trust anyone. Not the nurses. Not the people in the waiting room. Not after what I saw in the reflection. Because for a brief second, I had seen what was sitting in my place, and it was wearing my face wrong. The features were all shifted. My mouth was too high. My nose was too long. My eyes were too close together. It was like someone had tried to copy me from memory and got the details just slightly off. And when I turned my head, just slightly, it didn't move. It just sat there, still grinning, like it was waiting for me to leave. like it was waiting to replace me. I didn't wait around to see what happened next. I ran. Final warning. By the time I got home, I couldn't feel my hand at all anymore. I slammed my apartment door behind me, locked every bolt, turned on every single light. Then, cautiously, I checked my reflection. For the first time all day, it looked normal. No delays, no weird expressions, just me. I let out a shaky breath, my pulse slowing. Then, my phone vibrated. I pulled it out. Unknown number. Why did you run? I dropped my phone. My hands were sweating, shaking. I bent down to pick it up and froze, because when I looked up, my reflection hadn't moved, and this time, it wasn't smiling. It was staring, waiting, like it knew something I didn't, like it was finally getting tired of pretending. I stopped looking in mirrors. I had to. I covered every reflective surface in my apartment with blankets, towels, anything I could find. I turned my phone face down when I wasn't using it. I stopped looking at windows, car doors, subway glass, anything that could show me my own face. Because I knew I wasn't the only one looking. That thing in the mirror, whatever it was, wasn't me. And the more I looked at it, the more it started to look back. I am not alone. I thought I was safe as long as I avoided reflections. I was wrong. It started with shadows. One night, I was sitting on my couch, trying to eat something, even though I wasn't hungry. I hadn't been hungry for days, like my body was forgetting how to be human. The only light in the room was coming from the TV, casting my shadow across the floor. At first, I didn't notice anything weird. Then I saw it. My shadow. Its head was tilted. Mine wasn't. I sat perfectly still, holding my breath. The shadow stayed frozen for a few seconds. Then, slowly, too slowly, it straightened its head to match mine, like it had realized I had caught it. I turned off the TV so fast, I almost threw the remote. Darkness swallowed the room, and for the first time in my life, I was relieved, because at least in the dark, I couldn't see what was watching me. The video call. I stopped leaving my apartment. I ignored all calls, all messages, even when my friends started texting me things like, "Dude, are you okay? You haven't been online in days. WTF, I swear I saw you on FaceTime last night. Why were you just standing there?" I wasn't on FaceTime. I hadn't talked to anyone, but whoever, or whatever, was pretending to be me was. Then one night, I got a FaceTime request from an unknown number. I don't know why I answered. The screen was pitch black, no sound, no movement. Then, after a few seconds, a faint, wet breathing, slow, deliberate, like someone was inches from the camera, waiting for me to speak. I almost ended the call, but then the camera shifted, and I saw myself, or at least something wearing my face. It was standing in my bedroom, facing my mirror. The screen was grainy, dark, but I could still see its lips moving, mouthing words I couldn't hear. Then, so fast I almost dropped my phone. It turned, not just its head. Its entire body snapped toward the camera, stiff and unnatural. And then, the call ended. The stranger in my apartment. I sat there, phone still in my hands, breathing hard. My brain refused to process what I just saw. But then I noticed something. The FaceTime screen had left a reflection on my phone. And in the reflection, something was standing right behind me. I spun around so fast I knocked over my drink. Nothing was there. But the closet door was open, wide open. I hadn't opened it. I stood up, heart pounding, and slowly walked toward the doorway. It was pitch black inside, but I could hear something moving. Not footsteps, not breathing. A sound like skin stretching, like something peeling itself out of its own body. Then, the light in my bedroom flickered. For less than a second, in the flash of dim yellow light, I saw it. Something crawling out of the mirror. Its arms were too long, its legs bent the wrong way, and its face, it wasn't mine. Not anymore. It was unfinished, like it hadn't figured out how to copy me completely. Yet, the light flickered again, and it was gone. Nowhere is safe. I left my apartment. I didn't care where I went. I just needed to get out. I ended up in a McDonald's, sitting in a corner booth, my hoodie pulled up, hands shaking as I tried to collect myself. The place was mostly empty, except for a few late-night customers. That's when I noticed the wall in front of me was a mirror. I kept my head down, staring at the table, but I could feel it. My reflection was watching me, not copying me, just watching. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to know. I forced myself to look up. At first, it seemed normal. Just me, pale and exhausted, staring back. Then, my reflection lifted its hand, but not in a wave. Not in a way that made sense. It lifted its palm to the glass and pressed it there, like it was waiting for me to do the same. And when I didn't, it leaned forward, too close. Its mouth was right against the glass, and then, clear as day, it spoke. No sound, just the movement of its lips. But I understood every word. Let me out. I woke up, wearing the ring again. I ran out of the McDonald's so fast I almost slammed into a car. I didn't know where to go, what to do. I just kept moving, heart pounding, hands shaking. At some point, I must have passed out from exhaustion, because the next thing I knew, I was waking up in my own bed. I sat up fast, breathing hard. I didn't remember coming home. I didn't remember getting into bed. Then I looked at my hand. The ring was still there. No, not still. I had taken it off. I knew I had. But here it was, right back on my finger. And this time, the symbols inside the band had changed. I held it up to the light, heart hammering. The engravings had shifted. They spelled out a word. Not in English, not in any language I knew, but somehow I still understood it. It said, "Almost ready." And in the mirror across the room, something else was sleeping in my bed. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. Something else was in my bed. The sheets were pulled up over its face, but I could see the shape of it, the way the blanket stretched too tight over its body, like its limbs were too long. I wanted to believe I was dreaming, that if I blinked, it would all be gone. Then the thing under the covers shifted, a slow, deliberate movement, like it knew I was watching. My stomach twisted. My heartbeat pounded so loud in my ears, I thought I might pass out. Then, it sat up. The sheets fell away, and for the first time, I saw it clearly. It was me, but it wasn't. Its skin was the wrong color, pale, almost translucent. Its veins were black, crawling like cracks in glass. And its eyes, God, its eyes, too wide, too glossy, like a doll's, and the pupils, too long. It opened its mouth, lips stretching far beyond what was humanly possible, like its skin was too loose. Then it did something I will never forget. It mimicked my voice. "Why did you run?" Not in the way a person speaks, not with tone or breath. It said it perfectly, like a sound clip played back at me. My exact voice, my exact inflection, but empty, lifeless, like it was still practicing. I didn't think. I didn't plan. I ran. The ring is changing me. I don't remember leaving my apartment. I don't remember running down the stairs or shoving open the door. I just ran, barefoot, in the middle of the night, down empty streets that felt too empty. I only stopped when I reached the first place that felt real. A 24-hour convenience store. I stumbled inside, out of breath, sweat dripping down my back. The cashier, some old guy who looked half asleep, barely glanced at me. I staggered toward the bathroom, locked the door, and finally, looked at myself, and my heart stopped. I was fading. The skin under the ring had turned a deep, blackened gray, spreading past my wrist, up my arm. My veins, no longer veins. They looked like tiny, branching cracks. My fingernails were peeling away. Underneath them was nothing, just raw, open space. I felt like I was coming apart, like something else was trying to wear me from the inside. The stranger on the CCTV. I staggered out of the bathroom, barely holding myself together. I had to tell someone. I had to get help. The old man at the register was watching the security monitors, completely ignoring me. I stepped closer. "Sir." Then I saw what he was looking at. The CCTV screen. It was split into 4 angles, one for each side of the store, one for the register, one for the bathroom hallway, and one for the front entrance. I looked at the live feed of myself standing at the counter, and behind me, just outside the glass door, something else was standing there, tall, still, too familiar. I spun around so fast, I almost lost my balance, but there was nothing outside. I turned back to the monitor. It was still there, standing perfectly still, its head tilted just slightly, like it was waiting. I stumbled backward. My foot hit a rack of candy, knocking over a display. The old man finally turned toward me. His eyes widened. "Kid." But I was already running. The last attempt. I didn't know where to go. Nothing felt safe. Not my apartment. Not public spaces. Not even myself. There was only one thing left to try. The ring. It had to come off. I ran until I found the first pawn shop that was still open. One of those sketchy all-night places where nothing had a price tag, and the guy behind the counter looked like he'd sell his own lungs for a profit. I slammed my hand down on the glass counter. "I need this off," I gasped. "I don't care what it costs." The man looked at my hand. His expression changed instantly. For the first time, someone actually saw what was happening to me. "You," he started, then stopped. His face twisted, like he was about to say something, but thought better of it. I saw the moment he decided to lie. "This is a bad one," he muttered. "Hold on." He turned, walked into the back room, and came out with a bolt cutter. My stomach twisted. "Will that work?" He didn't answer, just grabbed my wrist, positioned the cutter over the ring, and snapped it shut. The second the blade touched the ring, the lights exploded. Every single bulb in the store shattered at once. The room went completely dark, except for the faint glow of the streetlights outside. The old man staggered back, swearing, rubbing at his eyes, and in the reflection of the glass counter, I saw someone else standing next to me, grinning. I didn't see what happened next, because I ran, again, because I knew, deep down, there was no escaping this, the final transformation. I don't know how I got home. I don't remember walking through my apartment door. All I know is, the second I stepped inside, my legs gave out. I hit the floor hard. My body felt wrong, like my skin was too loose, like something was shifting underneath it. I crawled toward my bathroom. Every movement felt like I was shedding something. By the time I pulled myself up to the mirror, I was barely me anymore. My skin was peeling away in thin, curling strips. My left eye was sagging lower than my right. My lips were cracked down the middle. And the ring was no longer metal. It was part of me, fused to my bone, and in the mirror, for the first time, my reflection wasn't watching me. It was waiting. Then, in a voice that wasn't mine, it spoke. And this time, I heard it. Almost done. The end. I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know if there's anything left of me to save. But if you ever see a Gucci ring on sale for $50, don't buy it, because whatever's wearing me now is looking for someone else. And next time, it might be you.